Congratulations on finishing your course. That was some hard work. Now what do I do with it? Is there anyone that will house my course and help me sell it? What if I can get an entire team to help me sell my course that I worked so hard on? Have I got a discovery for you? The Great Discovery not only has a place for your course, but a network of affiliates that are eager to sell your hard-earned course creation. Want to make a little more money so you can build your course or invest in yourself? Opportunities for all this and more await you at The Great Discovery, or go to tuepodcast.net/discovery for more information. Once again, that's tuepodcast.net/discovery for more information about how to join The Great Discovery now. This is an Undiscovered Legacy production. Undiscovered Entrepreneur, episode number 79. Almost 80.
I get looked at like I'm crazy when I tell somebody, oh, I don't charge my families for my missing persons cases, but I also investigate finding biological families when you've been adopted, or finding the kid that was adopted. Or I investigate, infidelities and scandals and for divorces and child custody battles, things like that. I do all of those investigations as well, and those I'll get charged for. It's specifically the missing persons cases, and it's specifically to the families and immediate loved ones.
Welcome to the Undiscovered Entrepreneur, the podcast where brand new entrepreneurs come to life and could quite possibly be discovered. Join me, DJ Skoob, and the rest of the Skoob Believers as we help these new businesses become a reality. And now, away we go! Hello, Skoob Believers, and welcome to episode number 79, almost to 80, of the Undiscovered Entrepreneur, and it's me, Skoob, coming at you whatever device you happen to be listening on. Okay, so today's Skoob Believer of the Week, the Skoob Believer of the Week is Emily Hemingway. Now, Emily has liked a lot of my TikTok videos. Really appreciate you. Thank you so much for being a Skoob Believer. All right, so today's episode, we're talking to an experienced entrepreneur. We're talking to Hailey. Now, Hailey is amazing. It's just fantastic. She actually uses a unique combination of skills in both being a medium and a private investigator, which she uses to help finding missing people in unsolved cases. It's amazing to me how we can actually use something like this to be able to help find missing people that are basically cold cases, or it's just harder to find. But I love the way that the challenges that Hailey faced in just gaining credibility and funding when starting her unconventional business, especially when someone's using mediumship abilities and that kind of thing, because it's unknown. We really don't know for sure what this is about. It's when it's based in like that, when somebody fears something like that, it's really hard to believe it. I'm going to be honest with you, I completely believe in it, but that's just me. Make your own assumptions. But I think it's amazing. Now, we also talk about Hailey's mission to help families of missing persons for free, and how she funds this work through just different types of services like tarot readings and astrological charts. But I like the fact that she's out there to help other people in these missing persons cases, and she doesn't charge them. Because that's the last thing on somebody's mind when some loved one is missing, is how I'm going to pay for something. So I love it so much. So let's listen to Hailey. Salutations, Skoob Believers, and we are here again with another amazing entrepreneur. Today we're actually interviewing an experienced entrepreneur. Say hi to Hailey. Hi, Hailey.
Hi, guys.
Thank you so much for taking your time today to be on the Undiscovered Entrepreneur. I really super appreciate you.
Even though I am an experienced entrepreneur, I'm still somewhat undiscovered. So I appreciate being here.
So we're going to mix it all up into one thing.
Yep.
All right, cool. But before we get started here, I do have kind of a semi-serious question to ask you. Okay, you ready?
Hit me with it.
All right, here we go. Here we go. Are you a Skoob believer?
100%.
All right. Thank you so much for being a Skoob believer, Hailey. I really super appreciate you.
I
All right, so
appreciate you.
yeah, thanks. All right, so what we're going to do is get started here, and I want to know just a little bit about you, about the business that you run, how long you've been doing it for, and what it was like to get started.
So I am a medium. I am also a private investigator. And so I'm kind of changing the game and disrupting the system and correlating the two to bring home missing people while also doing other private investigations, tarot readings, astrological chart readings, teaching people about intuition, and really just getting involved with every aspect of my life that I am very passionate about and very good at. But in the entrepreneurial side of it, the private investigations is the business.
Awesome. What got you started in that? I mean, that there has to be a story behind that, especially when it comes to
Yep.
paranormal and all that cool stuff.
Yep. Chance Engelbert, he went missing from Gering, Nebraska, July 6th of 2019. He had gone missing, and in December of 2022, I had just gotten an overwhelming feeling that I needed to read tarot cards for him and do a tarot reading. So I reached out to the family, did a tarot reading, fell asleep for 13 hours, and woke up the next day, quit my job, and spent 3 months learning how to be a private investigator, day in, day out. And I started my medium for the missing right after that.
So it was just like a kind of a wake up and let's do this kind of thing.
Yeah, I would say like the universe sent it to me. I've found that just like with you, the universe kind of sent you my way. The universe has been sending me a lot of things my way since Medium for the Missing started. And so I'm a full believer in it.
Awesome. Thank you, universe. This was actually pretty awesome.
Amen. Thank you,
Yes.
universe. Yes.
All right.
The gratitude is unreal.
Yeah, and it's so funny too. As I've been going along and doing my thing on the podcasting, I've been meeting such amazing people, and a lot of them are reaching out to me, and I'm like, I didn't ask them, but for some reason they just fit the bill for me. So I totally feel where you're coming from.
Yeah, it's amazing, especially like LinkedIn. LinkedIn is such a beautiful, beautiful, beautiful community. Yes, there are some things on there that aren't the best. There's things on every social media platform, but LinkedIn, you can find communities of people where they're not just a networking, here, send us your email to go into a mass email list. It's, you can connect with other people that are members of these groups and have Zoom calls with them. I've created some lifelong friendships in the last few months because of LinkedIn.
So, I mean, is there any more to it besides just you waking up and starting it? I mean, what was it really?
So I always had a problem with psychics and mediums doing readings for missing persons. I feel as a intuitive, as a medium, as a psychic, it is your job to interpret whatever medium you're using, whether you're getting channels, whether you're using tarot cards like I do. It's your job to interpret that and be able to place where it goes. And it's all based around energy. And so if I'm doing a tarot reading and I'm reading into the energy of two males and the missing male, I have to be the one to be able to placate that. And so I kind of figured it out along the way. I started out with not knowing this was going to become a business, none of that, and have grown quite the beautiful little community that I have that have brought me some cases to look at and to work on. But I wanted to be able to not have the mediumship aspect rule my investigative process. And so that morning after, when I started to learn how to be an investigator, I didn't keep consulting the tarot cards until I had some tangible evidence in front of me to say, okay, what is this? Like, where does this fit? Only then did I not only refer back to my first tarot reading, but I sat down and did a second, and then so on and so forth. And yeah, that's kind of how it all started.
That's amazing. That's cool. What's funny is I hear a lot about, I didn't know this was going to be a business until it was a business.
Mm-hmm.
And those actually usually end up being probably some of the best businesses out there because it's just so spontaneous. It just fell right into their zone of genius, and
Yep.
It doesn't get much better than that.
Yeah, it really doesn't. Everything in life that's good is unexpected. And this was definitely one of those.
All right. In your first year of business, when you were actually just getting started, was there any like pitfalls or problems that you encountered?
So many. You have to look at the aspect of you don't have any credentials right out the gate when you're doing my kind of work. And a lot of kind of work, whenever you're doing some sort of consulting or holistic health or any of that, you have to have the backing for it. Otherwise, people aren't really going to take you seriously. Another would be funding. So my mission is to not charge a family who contacts me to look into their missing loved one. My mission is to not charge them. And so that's why I also do the tarot readings, the astrological chart readings, the chakra openings and activations and distance energy healing, all of that stuff. That's why I do all of that. Every single dollar of those go into my business Medium for the Missing so that I can go look for these individuals out of state so that I can spend the time researching and paying for all of the platforms for my background checks, things like that. But those were a couple of the biggest pitfalls. The other one would probably be traveling in and of itself. Traveling is hard as a woman, as is, but going to look into a complex disappearance of somebody is terrifying.
Yeah, absolutely. I actually interviewed a young lady. Her name was Crunch, which was actually her first name, but I thought that was actually pretty cool.
Yeah.
But her whole thing was helping women travel on their own because it is difficult for a woman to travel by herself, especially the way that she described it to me. I don't travel very much. I don't get out very much. But it was interesting, and she kind of brings that point out where traveling as a woman by yourself, it can be challenging.
Oh yeah, it can be scary. And I mean, I've traveled on my own for my whole life for the most part, but doing it to go and look for a missing person, that changes the game. I never thought that it would have ever been like this.
I believe that. That's for sure. And incredibly, you bring up being credible, and that can be a little bit of a touchy subject to begin with anyway. I mean, I have a friend of mine that his name is Snow Leopard, and he's also a tarot reader as well too.
I love that.
Yeah, and that's one of the things that he actually ran into too was getting the credibility for people to understand what he's actually trying to accomplish.
Yep. My biggest advice for anybody out there looking to be able to delve into tarot readers, if they're legit or not, listen to how they talk about the energy of the cards. If they don't talk about energy once or they don't talk about it positively and explain to you that it's just energies that they're reading, not specific people, do not pay for a tarot reading from them.
There you go. That means that Snow is very credible because that's 90% of what he talks about is the power and the energies that he gets from doing tarot readings. So there you go,
Yeah.
Snow.
Yeah. Yeah, we need to connect too. I need you to connect us. We had talked about that when I had first met you.
Yeah, that's right. We still need to do that. I'll make sure that happens. And I'm glad you're doing a lot of this to help people out for free. That's really what it's all about too, especially in entrepreneurship. We want to be able to help people because that's really what it's all. It's not always about the money. And yeah, the money is fine and that's cool. But at the same time, the money is a byproduct of how we serve others.
Exactly. And that's the thing. I get looked at like I'm crazy when I tell somebody, oh, I don't charge my families for my missing persons cases, but I also investigate finding biological families when you've been adopted or finding the kid that was adopted. Or I investigate, infidelities and scandals and for divorces and child custody battles, things like that. I do all of those investigations as well, and those I'll get charged for. It's specifically the missing persons cases, and it's specifically to the families and immediate loved ones.
Fantastic. Hailey, thank you for doing that. If nobody else said anything about it, I am definitely
Thank you for thanking me and not telling me I'm crazy because I don't charge.
No, because I know. I mean, I don't charge anybody to be on my podcast. And it's for that almost the exact same reason. It's to give somebody else an opportunity to get onto a platform without having to worry about spending a bunch of money just to be taken seriously.
Mm-hmm. Yep. I think that we have a very, very big problem in the United States with missing people, especially missing children and women. That's not being talked about the way that it should be. It's not getting the attention that it needs to be getting. And the attention is going elsewhere, hiding it. And so I would never in my life feel okay if somebody's mom called me bawling and said, my son went missing, my daughter went missing, or my mom's missing, my sister's missing, my best friend's missing. Can you help? I would never feel okay telling them no because they can't pay me. Growing up in the rural Midwest in the lower middle class, I get it. You don't have $5,000 to hire a private investigator to find your loved one. And we deal with a lot of complex circumstances within our police systems. I'm not trying to get too political here by any means, but I think that we have a lack of funding and a lack of resources for training for a lot of our police departments in the United States. And so they don't know how to handle it. And the second people hear I'm a medium, especially in that environment, I'm immediately discredited. And it doesn't matter if I have the key to find them. I'm discredited because I'm a medium.
And it's sad. It's really sad because wouldn't you want to explore every possibility?
Yep. That's why the families contact me, not the police departments.
Right. All right.
I would love to work with the police departments. I would love to be able to be a resource that they could call when somebody gets reported missing. The sooner the better. And so maybe one day.
Well, hopefully the world will be ready for that rule soon because it's much needed. But people need to be open-minded about it enough to let you in. Because if they're not, they're going to be closed-minded and they're just going to just sign you off.
Yeah. Because of what I do, I was able to just recently, I did an interview for Story Samurai. And when we were talking, he goes, I'm a skeptic. I'm a math and science guy. And I believe heavily in science. But I believe magic, and I hope that's not derogatory towards mediums, but I believe magic is the science that we don't understand. And that was beautiful. It was beautifully said by him because it's the truth. We don't understand it unless you are it. And just being open to it. Yeah, there's a lot of people out there that pretend that they can do it, but you have to be able to vet who is and who isn't. Anybody that wants to know, call me.
There you go.
Have a conversation. Like, I'll tell you what flat out, these are what real mediums and psychics will do, and these are what phonies will do. And it's disgusting, the phonies, but that's what's created such a negative stigma.
That's just it. One bad apple ruins the rest of the bunch, right?
Yep. Fruit of the poisonous tree.
Yeah, exactly. I remember too, at one point in humanity, fire was magic.
Yeah.
So if we couldn't understand what fire was about, it was considered magic, and it still works out to this point today. If it's something we can't explain or understand, it's quote unquote magic.
Yeah, exactly. Yep, I love that because that's what it is. It's really just taking a look at what it is and what it isn't. Like I said, the energy of everything.
Exactly. When you were just getting started, especially kind of understanding your ability with the tarot cards and being a medium, did you have any mentors or anybody that kind of helped you move forward and succeed?
So I started reading tarot. It'll be 9 years at the beginning of 2025. So yeah, it's been about 8.5 years. But the last 4.5, I really got deep into my mediumship. I didn't learn until about 4.5 years ago that not everybody can channel with the dead and talk to the dead and help people cross over. When I had my first experience helping a spirit cross over, and it was beautiful. It was the most beautiful thing I've ever experienced. And for me, that was wild. I didn't have anybody really to mentor me through all of that, but I have had one very, very, very influential business-wise, somebody to help me that way. Sam Waltz, he's located in Delaware. And then Deborah Dubry, as of late, has been a very, very wonderful woman to help me and talk to me with. Outside of that, spirituality-wise, I have my spiritual mentor, Jared, and my best friend who helped get me into astrological charts and helps me with my astrological chart readings. It's you book us both when we do an astrological chart reading. And that's Ruth. And so, yeah, I had a couple, thankfully.
Yeah, that's good. It's all these people that help you kind of do what you do.
Mm-hmm.
And it's the people that you surround yourself with that makes you who you are. Mm-hmm. So you got to make sure those people that you surround yourself with are high quality people, or at least people that understand what you can do and what you can accomplish.
Yep, I couldn't agree more.
All right. As you're getting started, I think we touched on a little bit, but I want to kind of get a little deeper on this. But when you were getting started, your worst pitfall that you had getting started, what was that? What kind of lesson was that for you?
Really stepping back and looking at the way that we handle missing persons cases, learning the way in which it needs to be approached, learning how to respectfully approach it and take my emotions out of it are huge. Because if you're not taking that on without the emotions behind it, it will drain you completely. It will send you into a whirlwind of not wanting to do anything but investigate. And that can be a scary place. I think every new investigator, especially somebody who does something as cool as I do, will find that where they have this phase that they go through when they're really just knowledge on all the investigative stuff and they're finding all these clues and finding all these facts and trying to check everything and they get overwhelmed. And that's what happened to me is I burnt out. I was very, very public as well with my investigations for chance. And I wish I wouldn't have been. I wish that when we had gone down to Gehring for the first trip, we would not have told anybody, but we did a GoFundMe to fund that trip. So we kind of had to. But I think that if we would have went down without the knowledge of it and kept it to ourselves, if I could have afforded it at the time, but it's expensive to travel. Like I said, I think it would have been a little bit different, but it's okay. We learned some things. We had people follow us that helped us with narrowing down suspects and things like that.
That's cool.
Yeah. Yeah. It's cool when you go home and you can talk about it, but not while you're there dealing with it. Yeah.
But I kind of understand having to take the emotion out of it. I don't really contact with anybody, but I do work at a hospital during the morning time. That's my morning.
Oh, okay.
And they've asked me a couple times. They like my personality and who I am, so they asked me to be a nurse and talk to the people. But at the same time, I would have a really rough time if somebody passed. They were in my care or whatever. I know to stay out of that situation because it would totally break me.
Yeah.
And I see the same thing happening here where you got to take the emotion out of it. Otherwise, it could be really bad for you.
Yeah. Yep. That's how it was for me with my first Amber Alert. I had my first Amber Alert come through in February. And it was in a completely different state. I didn't have to even leave my home. They ended up locating her the next day, a quarter mile away from the place that I had told them that I had a bad feeling about, which is awesome that they found her. Just not awesome that they found her unfortunately dead. It's great that the family got the closure, but it's really, really hard, especially being the medium, because when you're getting channels from a child, you're not ready for that, especially like having kids that are my nieces, my nephews, my godsons, my adopted kids, things like that. It's really, really hard, but it almost inspired me more now that I was able to process that over the last few months. It took me a good 3 months to finally process through that first one, but now there's a fire under me and it's not going to go out anytime soon for finding these missing kids and getting them brought home safely.
Awesome. And then you touch on burnout too. And that's something I talk about a lot in my different podcasts because we really have to be careful not to burn ourselves up.
Yeah.
Overstimulation of the work and even just being social in general can really.
Yeah. Overstimulation in general is. That's a horrible thing to go through. I understand that completely. Yeah. And burnout, it's one of those where we all know what's going to burn us out, right? I know that if I'm putting 6 12-hour days in, I'm going to be tired for a month. Sometimes we have to do that. But also we need to take care of ourselves. I've learned that self-care can be as simple as, for me, I like writing out lists. So when I have a bunch of stuff I need to do, I write out a big list on my whiteboard. I have a giant whiteboard that I got at a garage sale for $10 and it was $200 originally, which is awesome. But I'll write out my lists on there and get that planned out. And that's an act of self-care. Taking 10, 15 minutes to just scroll on TikTok and take a breather when you're deep cleaning the house, but setting an alarm. And when that alarm goes off, holding yourself accountable is not only holding yourself accountable and growing in that aspect, but you're also allowing your body to rest some so you don't completely wear yourself out. When you're running a business, when you're an entrepreneur, it gets exhausting, especially in the areas that you don't understand. And at that point, you need to find a community. Find a community of a wide variety of different entrepreneurs and figure out how to do it, how to get the help, because it's okay to ask for help as an entrepreneur, whether you're a man or a woman. We all need help. We need to destigmatize asking for help being bad.
Yeah, actually not too long ago, I put an episode out where we talked extensively on asking for help is not a weakness, but it's actually strength. When we ask for help, it's not because we're weak, it's because we need the help. And if we don't get that help, things are going to be a lot more difficult for us. to go on to the next level or to figure out what we need to do next.
Yeah. Yeah. If we don't know the route that we need to go, we can spend days upon days upon days trying to build a website or trying to figure out how to write a business plan. There's things out there like Coursera. Those have courses for free, even that you could do it as self-paced taught. But I find I learn the business aspect from people who have done it. And so finding that community is really where I started to thrive. My business at that point, I wasn't going to take any more cases when I joined into my community. And then all of a sudden now here I am, and I'm doing way more than I ever thought I'd be doing at the same time. And I'm more energized about work than I ever would have thought I could have been. And I was drained completely when this all started a few months ago.
Borrowing from somebody else's expertise is not a bad thing. It's just going to make you a better person because now you have that capability. You have at least a little inkling about what you can do. What I like to do personally is when I meet somebody like you, Hailey, I take the best of who I talk to and incorporate it into myself, into my own personality and that kind of thing. That way it makes me a better person because I'm able to talk about whatever it is that I learned about.
Yeah, exactly. Active listening, but active participating as well in a conversation is huge. I think that a lot of people don't realize how far just being respectful in a conversation goes. Sitting here staring at you through my computer monitor is respectful, and it's also causing me to pay more attention. You're above me. But
Yeah.
and that's the thing, is it's causing me to pay more attention to this conversation. I'm not paying attention to the dog snoring on my floor, which I'm sorry for anybody that can hear her. She's a loud one, but that's my girl.
There you go.
So not sorry.
I've been having a lot of run-in with the animals lately in my podcast. I think it's kind of cool to have them in there because they're part of the family too.
Exactly.
All right. In hindsight, we've all had our failures that we don't. But a lot of us sometimes have a failure we're proud of. I'm glad I had this failure because this happened because of it. Do you have any experiences like that?
Yeah, I had the last 3 years of my life in a very, very toxic situation, very abusive relationship, mentally, emotionally. And a lot of things that I set out there to do, I wasn't doing. There was a lot of things that I had made plans for, a lot of commitments that I made that I failed to do during that time. And I'm glad that I had those failures because now that I'm out of that and I am free of that and I'm free to be me, I'm free to do my work and I'm happy. I know where I need to hold myself accountable. I know that even though that was a very horrific event for 3 years to go through on and off, it brought me the accountability for myself that I didn't have. And it wasn't because I just wasn't capable of it. I hold myself accountable for everything I do. But for appointments and promises for certain things and saying I do this for an investigation and then I forget, those things don't happen anymore.
Thank you for being authentic and vulnerable about your experience. I know sometimes it's kind of tough to talk about, but at the same time, if we use those experiences to make us a better person in the very end, then they're worth talking about because this is the experience that you had to get there.
Yeah. And for me, I know that if I was an entrepreneur out there, man or woman, and I hear somebody coming on a podcast that's about business and I'm in a domestic violence situation and somebody else can talk about it and is brave enough to talk about it, that's going to push me a step further towards getting out of it and finding the resources. And there's resources all over for it. Depending on where you're at, there's more or less, but there's resources. I'll have a way to get out. It's just a matter of, for one, asking for help, and for two, making sure that it's doing it safely because people are crazy. So for anybody out there going through it, my heart's with you because I get it.
Yeah, 100%. All right. I'm going to kind of turn this around a little bit.
You go ahead and do that. You're the host.
And we're going to talk about this instead now. And the vast number of accomplishments that you've had up to this point. Is there one or two that you're most proud of?
Yeah, finding helping, I guess not finding myself, but helping find that little girl. My first Amber Alert is huge. I have recently been contacted to do a biological parent investigation for this guy, and I'm pretty sure that I have his parents found. I'm just waiting on a call back, and we'll have our answers. And I'm super stoked for that because I know what it feels like to be reunited with family. I know what it feels like to miss family that you don't know how to get a hold of, or you can't get a hold of, or you don't even know where they are or who they are. And connecting with that family is huge. And so it just brings warmth to my heart.
Fantastic. Being able to accomplish that, especially for somebody else, is really gives you that nice, warm, fuzzy feeling in your chest that you've been able to help somebody else.
Yeah. Yep. And then the other thing is, like, Joe Rogan accepted my connection request on LinkedIn. So
that's cool.
Yeah, that was pretty cool. I was stoked about that for the week and a half. I still am. So we'll move it away out of like the heady heart stuff and make it a little bit lighter.
That's great. There's a guy that I follow. His name is Pat Flynn. And when I first started doing this, I actually got into a conversation with him about our kids. And then suddenly he started following me. I was like, wow, because he's pretty big in my eyeballs. And
I don't know who he is. That's okay.
Yeah, no, he's look him up. I'll tell you later. But and I was like, why did you decide to follow? Because he's a pretty big guy in my industry and podcasting. He goes, we had a great conversation about our kids. Why wouldn't I want to follow you? I was like, this guy is awesome.
Yep. Yeah, that's the thing is people are people. We're all human. Face your fears. Say something. You guys connected over your kids, and now you have each other on LinkedIn. You have that connection. All it takes is a simple step out of fear, and you can have the world.
Yeah, you heard that, Skoob believers? Step out of fear. We actually talk a lot about fear on my podcast. So, I'm going to throw this at you. Do you happen to know the acronym for fear?
No.
No? So it's FEAR, false evidence appearing real.
I like that.
And a lot of the things that we fear aren't actually things that are going to kill us, or just, it's not a saber-toothed tiger that's going to bite us in the rear end if we don't be afraid of it. Sometimes it's just something that's in our head that we just need to get over to be able to get on to our next steps, or have the experience so we can learn something from it. There's so many things that we can learn from fear.
Yeah. Well, that's the thing. I did a webinar. I called it The Art of Intuition, Tarot Basics for Insightful Living. 2 people showed up, one of them being my spiritual mentor. But the other one is a good friend of mine, and we do a weekly call just to have conversations about anything under the sun, and it's very therapeutic for us both, I believe. But he coaches boxing, and we get off of my webinar and we talk the next week, and he goes, I'm going to talk to you like you're one of my boxers, but you are going to fail. Without a doubt, you're going to fail. That's inevitable. But going out there and starting to throw those punches, putting your head down and just hitting, that's doing more than standing here and not doing anything would. Going out there and promoting yourself, going out there and reaching out to people to connect. Yeah, you might not always get a positive response, but who cares? They're not you. They're obviously not your target client, and you can use that to your advantage. Pay attention to those people. Pay attention to the people that you want to be your target audience, your target clients, things like that, really depending on where your business is. The only person that's stopping you is yourself. Nobody else. And just like you are the only person that's responsible for your actions, you're also the only person that can start yourself or stop yourself.
That's awesome. Yeah, I think about that a lot too, because before I started this, I was scared. I was in my own way a lot. I was letting a lot of things get in the way of what I actually wanted to do to accomplish to get where I am now. And I could only imagine how much further along I would be if I would have started a lot sooner.
Right. No, and I understand that completely.
So
I get it. I just now realized that, like, when I'm sharing any of my own content that has to do with Medium for the Missing, there's hashtags. So I get it. Like, that simple little diving into how to give myself more of a viewing so people all over the country can contact me. Like, oh, let me just type in hashtag Medium for the Missing. That was easy.
It's amazing how some of the smallest things can make the biggest difference in what we're doing.
Yep.
Even just putting in a simple, and I'm going to be honest with it, I just recently started putting hashtags on all my work, and yeah, it's making a difference. But
Go team.
go team, team hashtag,
Yep.
hashtag team hashtag. Okay, so, but yeah, it's those little things that make the biggest difference in what you're doing, and when you learn about them and put those learnings into actual action, is when things are making a difference for you. It's nice to know that you need to put hashtags in, but until you start actually putting those hashtags in, it's not going to make any kind of difference for you.
Exactly. Yeah. You might know that you need to do it, but if you're not doing it, then you're just knowing. And that's not doing. That's not progress. That's not growth. And that's not success.
That reminds me of a little anecdote. Let's see if you can figure this one out. Of 5 frogs are on a log. 4 of them think about jumping off the log. How many frogs are on the log left?
5.
Exactly, because they only just decided to jump off. They didn't really actually jump off. Very good. I got the last person with that one. They said 1. So
I probably would have too if I wouldn't have listened.
Right.
I was looking at your face while you were talking, though, so I was listening.
Uh-oh. I've been found out. Okay. So
I don't know if that's the case. I just took the glasses off so I didn't focus too hard.
Oh, okay.
It works.
It does. It does work.
Be weird, man.
Oh,
Be your authentic, weird selves. I will accept you. I don't care what you do or who you are. You're authentic, you're weird, you like yourself, and you love yourself enough to do stuff like this. Like, I'm goofy.
I'm
okay with it.
I like to embrace weird.
Yeah.
I really do, if you couldn't tell already. But embracing your weird is actually what sets you apart from other people.
Exactly.
And so that I think that's why I really kind of I lean into my whole Scooby-Doo act and my voices and my jokes, and it just makes me who I am.
Exactly. That's why you're DJ Skoob, and that's why we love you.
Thank you. Okay, next question. Okay. If you're to come across somebody who's looking to jump into an entrepreneurship, what advice would you give them? What steps would you have them take first off?
Where do you want to be in 5 years? What are you passionate about? What are you good at? What would you do for the rest of your life if you could do it? Anything in the world. What would you do?
Short, simple, and sweet. Actually, there's a book that goes into a lot of that. It's called The Big Leap. I don't know if you've ever heard of it or not.
I've heard of it. I haven't read it.
That book changed my life. You have got to get your hands on that book. I listened to it on Audible. If you want, I'll send you a link. I'll send you a link to it so you can check it out.
Perfect. Yeah.
But it actually goes into how to find your zone of genius, how to find what you're passionate for, questions that you could ask yourself to get into that zone. Goes into flow, all kinds of great things.
Perfect. I love that.
What I'm going to do here is I do this with all my guests on my podcast. So in 6 months, where do you see you and your business? Now, you said 5 years before. I'm going 6 months on mine. So
I love that. Make it a shorter area. 6 months from now, I hope to be moved out of my current area. I hope to get out of South Dakota. I want to get somewhere a little bit more centralized, a little bit more localized, where I can do a little bit more. I hope to have figured out a way to combat the missing children in South Dakota issue, let alone the whole United States, and really just be able to be in a place where the funding is coming in. I hate talking about funding because it seems so shallow, but really, like, for me, it's something that's huge. Every little bit counts because I'm not charging these families, but this is what I love to do, and I'm really, really good at it. And so that's where it sits for me, is I hope that I have the resources and availability money-wise to be able to travel and do the things I need to do for my investigations, and have the cases that I have open now closed out and more active cases.
All right. So what I'd like to do with you, if it's okay, Hailey, is in 6 months, I want to actually follow up with you.
Deal.
Have another interview just like this and see how things are going for you. Is that okay?
Yeah, that's perfect. I want to see what I'm doing in 6 months too. So
then you can
future
listen to
Hailey, good luck.
There you go. That's right. Then you can listen to this one and see how far you got, right?
Right.
All right. All right, so this is your time to shine, Hailey. This is the time to advertise yourself. Tell us how we get a hold of you and all the good stuff. Okay, ready, set, go.
So there is a website currently being built that should be live here very, very soon. That will be mediumforthemissing.info, as well as you can find me on LinkedIn, linkedin.com/mediumforthemissing. You can find me on Facebook, facebook.com/mediumforthemissing 2022. You can send me an email at mediumforthemissing at Outlook or MTFM services at Outlook, or you can reach out to me through the business phone at 605-223-5856.
All right, awesome. Hailey, thank you so much for taking the time out of day to be an Undiscovered Entrepreneur. This has been an absolute blast. It's been a while since I've laughed and carried on this long with a guest. So,
hey, I'm glad to be here. I'm glad that we got to have this conversation, and I will be in touch.
All right, fantastic. All right, Skoob Believers, thank you for being with me on another interview, and make sure you stay tuned for the wrap up. Okay. All right,
Thanks,
everybody.
Guys.
Thank you. All right. Bye-bye. All right, Skoob Believers, that was Hailey. Hailey was great to talk to. Lots of fun, lots of energy. I really feel that she really has a lot going for her. And I really hope she keeps doing what she's doing there. I think her job that she's doing is really, really super important to be able to help find lost people. And I really think if she keeps going the way she's going, she's going to accomplish so many more things besides that. I love that we talked about following our passion, that she was so open about her experiences and the problems that she had with credibility, funding, travel. She was very open about everything. I think that's the one thing I really take away is how authentic she was and vulnerable she was about everything that she's learned up to this point. And I'm really looking forward to following up with her in 6 months to see how far along she's actually gotten in her entrepreneur adventure. All right, so a little bit more about what's going on with me in my life. I want to give you a couple great resources that you can use from some very good friends of mine. So if you have questions about how to use TikTok and that kind of thing, it's actually been doing really well for me, blowing up lately. And this is what I actually use to learn how to do that. Learn how to do TikTok with my friend Alex. Go to tuepodcast.net/TikTok. And you'll get a free course. That's right. I said the F word, free course with my friend Alex on how to efficiently use your TikTok. Now, I know some of you have been asking me about how to podcast. So I want to give you another free resource from my friend Bree. Learn how to podcast with her free course. There it is again, free course. Go to tuepodcast.net/learn-to-podcast. And that will give you some great information on how to actually start your podcast. Just a quick reminder, I am trying to get together to go to PodFest. Got things I am putting together. I could really use your help, though. Please go to tuepodcast.net/Patreon. Got a lot of great stuff going on, working on some bloopers. Got some great episodes in there for you. Building that thing up. I'm still kind of working on it, but it's going to be great. I can use any help that I can get at this point. So please, please help me get to PodFest if you can. Go to my Patreon or however else you want to support me. That's great. You can go to my website, tuepodcast.net. There's a Be a Contributor button. You can go there and you can contribute that way too. A lot of ways to be able to help me because I am definitely asking for your help. All right, Skoob Believers, thank you for another great episode, and I will see you next week. Bye-bye. Hello there, DJ Skoob here, and I just want to personally say thank you for listening to my program. I really hope you learned something. Tune in 2 weeks to listen to another brand new entrepreneur. And remember, I can, I am, I will, and I'm doing it today. Do you find yourself faltering when speaking in public? You definitely know what you're talking about, but you just can't seem to get over the horrific fear. and imagining people in their underwear is just not working. Whether you're gearing up for a big presentation or just looking to improve your daily communications, Leslie Fiorenzo is your go-to resource for mastering self-promotion, facing your audience fearlessly, and communicating with authority. Don't miss out on your opportunity to elevate your game. Contact Leslie Fiorenzo now or go to tuepodcast.net/speak to step into the spotlight with confidence. Your adventure in public speaking mastery starts here and now. Don't wait to get your voice heard. Book your free consultation at tuepodcast.net/speak to start your adventure in speaking excellence today.